I'm Josh with the City of Waupaca, and we're back for our community update. We've got Aaron Jensen from the City of Waupaca and Ron Sari from the School District of Waupaca. Hello, guys.
Hey,
Hey, Josh.
And the first thing we'll talk about, this is kind of one of the first nice weather weeks. I think winter's gone, which means we're into spring cleaning, and the city has the trifecta of various spring cleaning opportunities, and the first is leaf and brush pickup.
Yeah, it's funny, Josh. Last week we talked about potentially talking about this, but we had just got dumped on with a ton of snow 1 week ago, and we're like, well, it doesn't make sense to talk about spring cleaning yet. Oh, here we are, a week later. Brush and leaves, yeah, this is a service. We're going to talk about a few specific services to the city and then a broader service. But brush and leaf pickup is a residential service for anyone who is cleaning up, and it's been windy the last few days too. I know that there is a lot of that going on in yards. I've seen some people out. Make sure you put it in the terrace. Go online. There's a big button. I think on the left-hand side, there's a link to all of the rules to brush and leaf pickup. So go on citywaupaca.org for that. Make sure you're following those rules and put it out in the terrace. And the city crews, our street department, do an awesome job. We'll come and take care of that for you. In addition to that, there's kind of a new effort this year called Waupaca Dumpster Days. This is something Mayor Smith actually had thought about several months ago, and he's worked with staff to organize this. And it's just an opportunity for city residents specifically to come and visit the recycling center on Friday, May 17th and Saturday, May 18th. Friday, May 17th is from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Saturday, May 18th is 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it's that spring cleaning time. So it's basically a way for them to get rid of a bunch of items and junk that they no longer need at no cost. There are some items that are accepted for a fee, such as tires, brush at that time, also some other things. And then there are items that are not accepted, like certain chemicals and such. All of those rules and the guidance is also listed on our website. So go and check that out. There's also a great map on our website that kind of shows how it's going to look that day at the recycling center, where people can go to dispose of the appropriate things. And again, this is a city resident benefit. It's a partnership between the city and the Waupaca Area Community Chest, which is an area nonprofit that's helped fund this as well. So you'll have to bring your proof of residency to that. And then last but not least, Josh, I'll let you talk about the electronics recycling. That's something you started a while ago and continue to do, and it's a very successful event.
Yeah, that's taking place Friday, April 26th from 10:30 till 1 at Swan Park. Kind of like the Dumpster Days event, there's a list of items that are accepted at no cost. There's some items that have fees, such as monitors, TVs, some of the smaller appliances that are accepted. And then there's a list of some items that cannot be accepted at that event. And all those details, just like the other two, are on the city website to check out. But yeah, next for Friday the 26th is the day for that. And I think between these three events, there's a lot of stuff you can get rid of either for free or very affordably locally right here in the community, where you don't have to travel to Manawa or somewhere else to get that done. So if one event, maybe the electronics event doesn't take something, there's quite a bit that can be taken at the Dumpsters Days event and vice versa. So kind of coordinate between them.
Hey, Josh, you have to be a city resident, right?
The electronics event is open to anyone that shows up. So there's no residency requirements there. Correct. So that one's wide open. Businesses, residents, whoever. If you show up and you've got stuff we will take, there you go.
Good to know.
So Ron, we're going to put on your Chamber of Commerce hat. You're on the board of directors there, and some information was just recently released. Terry Schultz is retiring after decades there, and a very familiar replacement will be stepping in for her starting on May 1st.
That's correct. We posted for Terry's position and went through a whole hiring process. It was pretty lengthy. And our candidate is Jeff Anderson. He is the new president and will be succeeding Terry. So Terry's last day is May 15th, and Jeff will start on May 1st. So he'll have a little time there to work with her and get some insight and some mentoring and be able to answer some questions that he may have. But he's not new. He used to be the VP of tourism for the Waupaca Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. So he has a lot of familiarity, and he's a local who lives here in our community. And also he's coming from the state. He has a background working in the tourism department for the state. And so he has a lot of experience, and we're excited to have him on board and work with our chamber and take it to the next levels that it needs to go to.
Very good. Aaron, we'll jump over to you. Housing is a challenge everywhere. And next week will be a groundbreaking for the first residential development in River North. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's kind of amazing, Josh. Feels like over the last couple of years, we've talked about housing every other episode on here. And it's amazing how long some of these things take to come to fruition. And really, this is one of the first major projects we expect to have kind of three big developments happen this year. One is the Thai Core, which we've talked about. One is still the old St. Mary's, although I know it has looked idle for a little while. I can assure you staff has been communicating with WPS, and there's some electrical infrastructure that's moving right now and hopes to get that going. And then also the one that you just mentioned is the groundbreaking for what is called the River North Cottages. This is the WIDA project that will be kicking off next week. Is the expectation. So expect to see some excavators mobilized and some groundbreaking to happen. Again, this is over off of Industrial Drive on the east part of town. These will be affordable housing units that will start next week. So we're excited to see some earth moving and getting that going.
Very good. Ron, each year the school does a perception survey, and those results were revealed this week. And I know you wanted to speak a little bit about what the parents and community think of the school district and what's going well and what maybe needs a little bit of improvement.
That's exactly it. So we contract with School Perceptions, which is a survey organization in Wisconsin, but they do these surveys nationally. They've grown pretty big over the last 20 years. And a lot of people don't know maybe that we truly do use the data from these surveys. We survey every year our parents, our students, and our staff. And we make adjustments to our planning based on this data. Today, last night at the board meeting, the consultant presented all three survey results. Today, I'm just sharing with the parents here their survey results. And they were very well. They were very good. We had 20% of our parents participate in the survey. All of them were welcome to through email and completing it. 20% did, and that's decent, because if you're over 10%, it's going to show some accuracy. So some of the areas, the top 5 scores for our parents were the question: my child has a positive relationship with at least one adult at school. 97% of our parents said yes, either agree or strongly agree. Another was school facilities are clean and well kept. 97% agreed. My child feels safe at school. 93%. I have at least one school staff member that a parent feels comfortable contacting if they have an idea or a concern. 89% of our parents either agree or strongly agree. And the school teaches with materials that reflect my family's cultural backgrounds. 92% of our parents agreed. So that was good. The bottom 5 scores, in this case, the consultant said your bottom 5 are what some people would consider top 5. They were also pretty good. These 5, I have opportunities to provide feedback to school and teachers. 82% agreed. School communication is timely and transparent. 82% agreed. We know that communication for any organization is one of the most difficult things to be highly successful with, because not everybody listens to everything or reads everything. And so it's a tough one to have 82% of your parents say it's timely and transparent. We thought wasn't bad. There's a healthy culture at our school. 82% of our parents agreed. The school provides opportunities for parental involvement. 80% agreed. And I'm satisfied with our school's efforts to address bullying. That's something that we work very hard on. And 72% of our parents agreed on that, Josh.
So it sounds
can I say something real quick, Ron? I apologize. I was not one of the 20% that replied to that, but I do want to say because I didn't. You know, we have two kids, one both in the elementary school and at the WLC, and I've said this before on here, but they love going to school every day. They have had a super positive experience. I think the staff does an awesome job. Not only that, but when you look at some of these, I'm going to get it wrong, but like the iReady tests or whatever they're called, you know, you can see the progress that our kids are making, and I'm sure everyone else. And I just think that it's crazy. I think back to when I was that age and fighting my parents about going to school. We don't have that. It's crazy. They love going to school. So it's awesome.
Yeah, we have some great teachers in our school district and great staff members. A lot of support, and they do a terrific job. We're so thankful and grateful for that.
So we're going to jump over and talk a little bit about school safety and something else that's being worked on, something called critical response graphics, which will aid any public safety officials that have to come into the school buildings.
Yeah, this was a grant Greg, our grant writer, wrote and was very successful. We received it. And so what it is, it's an app. It's two parts. One part is an app that law enforcement would have on their phones. And if there was an emergency at any one of our 4 schools, any law enforcement officer with that app would be able to hit it, and they would see a map of the school, each of the floors, and it's set into squares, kind of like a piece of graph paper squares, and they're all labeled. And they'd also be able to see if there was any other law enforcement officers in the building or in the vicinity. They would pop up, and on that map graphic, each law enforcement officer could see each other. We're also making hard copies of these maps just for our tabletop exercises and purposes, but it's a simple visual communication collaboration tool that's easy to use, especially if you're under stress, like if there was an emergency or a crisis taking place. And it coordinates emergency response both outside and inside the building. It also shows the campus from a macro lens, one of the visuals for each of the schools. So yeah, it's supposed to enhance response time and improve command and control during any kind of an incident. And then it also uses common language and unified points of reference between the internal teams and any response units. So we're excited about this, and had a meeting just last week about implementing it. And we had law enforcement reps there along with our admin team, and we're moving forward with it. So that's exciting, and it's going to help us be more safe.
And I suppose it'll be very useful for law enforcement who aren't familiar with your buildings. There's a lot to them, and so that can definitely see the use for that.
Exactly. We're told that if there were a crisis or an emergency, not just the local, but law enforcement officers from surrounding counties are going to be here. There would be numerous law enforcement officers coming to Waupaca. So yeah, especially those individuals who have no familiarity with our buildings would simply and easily be able to navigate.
Very cool. And then we'll jump back to Aaron to get some updates on some city projects. One that's highly visible, Lakeman Field, their greatest need has been met. Those wooden decaying poles are long gone, and some new metal ones are up.
They are. We were talking about replacing those lights when I was park and rec director like a decade ago, and they're finally replaced. Those are, again, just a little history. Those were put up in the 70s. They were used wooden poles at that time, old utility poles. This last year, actually, we had instances in which the lights went off during a game, causing gigantic safety issues. Even when they were on, they weren't well lit. Long story short, our Parks and Rec department and volunteers, Friends of Waupaca Parks, did a remarkable job of fundraising over $400,000 through grants and private donations. Our community is unbelievable. That's resulted in a partnership with some City of Waupaca capital funds that has resulted in the putting up of these brand new lights. They're going to be pretty neat. They have a lot of functionality that I think people that go to games will be excited to see. And that's not the only thing happening at Lakeman Field right now. They're also talking about potentially doing some things with the current bathrooms and concession stand and improving that. That's, if you've been there, that it's an old building that could use some upgrades. And then also that block, there's a lot going on that block. So last week I saw you there, Josh, climbing the tower, doing work over there, but we have our public works facility that's getting really close to being wrapped up. I was able to take a tour last week and just to see all of that progress and all of the infrastructure needs being met on that block was pretty exciting. We're going to have a community open house eventually. Right now, I can tell you, I'll give a little teaser. We are targeting June 14th, which is a Friday, for that open house for the public works facility. Hope to have some other fun things happening that day and that evening, potentially show off the lights and some other things. So
and I can tell you the guys are actively moving into that new building this week, and that's going to be a huge effort with all the vehicles and tools and equipment.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. When I did the tour, it's a beautiful building, and it makes you think of how much of an upgrade and how much more efficient our crews will be able to operate out of there compared to what we were operating in. And sometimes
not to brag how bad our buildings were, but I had to go into one of our old buildings to kind of scope out some stuff I'll have to remove before it's demoed. And just like every spring, the floor in the office is flooded. That tells you anything.
They were stacking sandbags, I think, at the perimeter of it as the snow melt to make sure water, or try to alleviate the water coming into that building. So that is just a little snapshot of what it looked like. But when I did the tour, yeah, it's big, beautiful building that's empty right now. I was thinking that's going to be a lot of work to move everything over there over the next couple of weeks.
But it's, I think what the public will see is, I think, a lot more efficiency coming from public works and time savings. So, I mean, there's benefits beyond just replacing some buildings.
100%. Instead of operating out of 3 different locations and having to run all over the city to get materials and equipment, we're doing it from
one spot.
Yeah, and we also want to thank all the neighbors around there too. Justin and I had an opportunity to go talk to him about some things and knock down some doors, and just for putting up with the disruption. We haven't heard any negatives at all. They've been great, and we want to thank anyone impacted by that project. So.
Well, Ron, Aaron, appreciate the time to get the community up to date. Lots of good stuff going on. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Josh.